like an actress? Like, what drove you to like?
Oh, well, really, probably my high school theater teacher. She was just incredible. She did, I mean, we did plays like The Crucible and Tony Kushner and all these great plays that we never did plays that seemed like they were kind of dumbed down for high schoolers. She really pushed us to do current things and interesting things, and yeah. So I don't know if I would have loved it as much if it hadn't have been for her.
Good question. Yes.
Hi. Where would you have liked to see Illyria go at season 6? And thanks for signing my autograph earlier on.
You're so nice, thank you. Well, I mean, we thought there was going to be a season 6, and I don't know if I made this up in my head, but I swear that Joss told me that season 6 was going to be almost like a mafia thing, where like every faction was going to be kind of on its own, like rogue out there. So, and I also heard that I was going to get to be Fred again eventually. So, but I really like switching back and forth between the two characters. So probably more of that. And, you know, maybe her adjusting a little more to life on Earth. Just like Illyria in everyday life situations, you know, at Starbucks or something like that.
Was there ever any talk about doing a movie, an Angel movie, or was that something that was like just a pipe dream?
I feel like I heard something at one point about maybe like a Spike Illyria thing, and then
Spike Illyria thing.
someone mentioned that, and then it didn't happen.
Okay.
But it was exciting for a minute.
Spike Illyria, that would have been amazing. Okay, over this side, please.
Which character is harder to play, Root or Fred? So we're kind of like into like the STEM stuff.
Oh, probably Root a little bit. Fred was a little bit more like me. I mean, I was always like a math and science. You know, I was a lot younger then, and I had just graduated from school, and math and science were my favorite subjects, and so I always felt like Fred was from Texas. She loved tacos. We just had so much in common. I'm less comfortable killing people.
That's great. Okay, over this side, please.
What, if anything, can you tease about Root and Finch's upcoming philosophical debates? Like, what kind of stance would Root take versus what kind of stance would Finch take?
Okay. I have to see how I just say this without getting in trouble. There are those. There's a lot of those. That's a big part. Well, you know, we have the machine in a box now, and Samaritan's kind of won the battle. So I think this season's going to be, what do we need to do to the machine so that we're not losing? And I think we kind of have different viewpoints on what that should be.
Nice.
That wasn't much of a tease, but.
This side, please.
Hi. I was wondering, what was the experience like when you guest starred on Grimm as the Spinatod? Because that's one of those.
That was, I mean, that was great, because David Greenwald, who was on Angel, that's his show, and it was so fun to get to go up there. And I realized, because on Angel, I mean, I had the Illyria makeup, but it wasn't, you know, it was just spray paint. And one time I had like a crusty, when I lost all the water, but that was just for like a day. And then everyone, you know, all the monsters would talk about how hot it was and how hard it was to drink, and they couldn't breathe and move, and I was like, oh, they're kind of babies about this. And then I did Grimm, and I wanted to call everyone and be like, I'm so sorry, that was so hard. So yeah, the prosthetics were really, really hard and interesting, and becoming an old woman was a little depressing.
Thank you. And talking about doing a show like that, you did a Supernatural as well.
Yeah.
And that's a good one too, right? Now, is that them coming to you and saying, like, we want you to be on this show?
Yeah, I mean, that's been one really nice thing is, you know, there were such amazing writers on Angel and Buffy, and now they've all gone on to make their own amazing shows. So there's Grimm and Jane Espenson and Marty Noxon, and everyone's doing all these great things. So it's nice to have them, you know, that sometimes we'll just be like, we need someone to play a pink fairy, would you do it? And I'm like, that sounds great.
Good stuff. Okay, over here, please.
That actually ties in with my question then. I really loved you as Andrea on Supernatural and Nova on Once Upon a Time. Would you ever go back to do a guest appearance if they asked?
I would love that. Yeah.
We all love that,
I
really.
I can't believe that. I mean, Supernatural seems so long ago, and is it still on forever? Like, is it just
Season 11.
and there's no end in sight?
No, and some of us don't want the
I
end.
think they've probably run out of other actresses. Isn't it time to really? Yeah, I would love that.
Great, well, hopefully we'll see that again. On this side, please.
First, let me say I loved Much Ado About Nothing, except it took me forever to see it. It took forever for it to show up on Netflix. And it was so good, I really felt bad that I didn't see it earlier, so I could tell people you really should see this.
Thank you.
My question is about person of interest. Now, I know you probably already did some like gun training because you were on Alias. I was wondering if they gave you like specific notes on how Root would shoot people, because I noticed, well, you know, like Shaw and John are very, you know, professional military two-hands, but you're two guns all the time. Give specific notes about how crazy to do your shooting.
You know, it's kind of one of those things. Actually, Jim was talking to me about this the other day. He was like, how do you know how to shoot this well? I was like, well, the machine tells me where to shoot. And he was kind of like, yeah. But I think that's the beauty of having, there was the first time I ever had the machine kind of talking to me, gosh, we were in the New York Public Library. Maybe it was the finale of season, I don't know when it was, sometime season 2, I guess.
Finale.
Train station or some,
Yeah, the train station. Yeah.
Someone
It
on
was the
TV
New
or
York
something.
Public Library. In real life, I think it was on the show too. But they had like a thing where the machine would go like beep, 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 and then like as it got closer, then I was supposed to shoot. It works like that. But now she really talks to me, so she just says, so that's why I don't have to look and I can just, you know, good job. But there are also actual real trained weapons people, and as you know, now when Shaw was away, I kind of got to do a little bit more crazy gun stuff than I had before. So there were guys teaching us about these really scary automatic giant weapons that they had. And my main concern was you know what's really hard? A gun is very heavy, and when you have to do a scene that's 5 minutes holding a gun, your arm really starts to shake. So the other night they were like, Amy, so I'm having to lift weights to be able to hold guns.
Wow. Thanks. Over here, please.
Hello. I was just wondering how you became involved with Suits, and if you were going to become a recurring character on that series.
They just asked me if I would do a couple of episodes, and that was all that has been planned so far. So hopefully, I had a great time. The crew was obviously all Toronto people, and they were just about the nicest people I've ever worked with. So they were great, and everyone on the cast, all the cast was really fun, and being up here was wonderful. So I would love to come back, but as of right now, there's no plans that I know of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Over to the side, please.
My question is to do with that episode Smile Time on. What was it like working with a Muppet?
That was one of the hardest episodes because the people who did the Muppets, they had the dirtiest mouths. And they would be sitting underneath the desk and then they would say cut, and there are kids here, but then when the director would say cut, they would keep talking, but like sit just like, oh, that was and then we would all just be laughing so hard because they were so good at it, you really felt like you were talking to them. They were incredible. It was really fun.
What happened to all of those Muppets? Do you guys get to keep them, or
No,
you
I
know?
don't know where they are now.
Did you keep anything from your Angel days?
I do. I have a golden armadillo. It was on Fred's desk, and I really liked it. And I think I have the Dixie Chicks poster somewhere.
Beautiful. Over here, please.
Hi, on the set of Person of Interest, do you guys pull any pranks on each other?
Oh. You know, have you ever seen, I don't know if you're on Twitter, but there's a guy named Teddy who's one of our ADs, and he's really funny, and he likes to dress up as some of the characters from time to time. So the other day he was dressed up as Finch. It was great. He's been dressed as Jim from time to time, but I don't know if there's too many. It's so hard because you're in the city and you have to move so fast that we don't have a lot of time for practical jokes. But now I'm going to have to do one. So everyone always asks that question.
We'll have to check the gag reel on the next season.
Yeah.
So. Over here, please.
Hi, this is a bit of a two-part question.
Okay.
And now that Root and Harold are rummaging around in the machine's code, trying to figure out which is the original and which is what the machine has altered on its own, would they ever entertain the notion that the real reason the irrelevant numbers was given out was because the machine detected an even bigger threat than the relevant numbers and the Samaritan, and is actively trying to prevent it?
Maybe you should write.
That's pretty intense.
I did not write. Which leads into my second part of the question. Now that Root has been doing a lot of traveling around the world for the machine, setting things in motion, was there anything that she was doing besides making sure the machine was in that suitcase? We'll be able to see more of that in the next season.
You know, I think that'll have to be another show. No, so as of last year, we've kind of all been in hiding. Like I haven't been able to travel too much because Samaritan's out there. So we're kind of, that didn't get to happen. We're all just mainly together focused on getting the machine back up and running to start the year off.
Wow, so that pretty much means you've been, as a Root, you've been reestablishing your own identities on your own this whole time without the machine? Then
you have to go away.
Okay.
I meant that in a nice way.
Maybe something lighter.
No, not really. In the second half of season 4, where practically every scene that's not action, Root looks like she's just barely trying to hold herself together. In the last scene in the car, and then even the tiny little one in the diner, were you actively thinking about it as you were doing it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was just sort of part of it because so much of what was going on was all about trying to find Shaw, and then she really wasn't there. We all really missed her. She had gone back to LA.
And you didn't know she was going to come back.
We didn't know what was going to happen, and it was just so. I mean, it was really sad that she left, and now that she's coming back, I can say it was just really neat for the storyline, because I don't think that my character would have gotten to have that arc, obviously, if that hadn't have happened. And I think that was, I just feel like they gave me some really cool scenes to play, and it was nice to have that driving force. And as the other question before, kind of the debate of like, do I find Shaw or do I find the machine, and how do I, how do you balance the two? So.
Thanks. Over this side, please.
Hi there. First of all, I just wanted to say that if Illyria and Spike did get together, it'd be really cool to hear them both do spoken poetry. I think that'd be the coolest thing ever. So my question is simple. As an actress, what's your routine for memorizing a script?
I mean, I'm kind of lucky. I can memorize things pretty easily, but Michael and I have, let's see, Tuesday and Wednesday, I just looked, we have like 23 pages of dialogue in the subway. Whoa. So last night I spent in bed reading, learning lines. Sometimes I write it down. I don't know if that actually helps, but I've convinced myself that it does. But usually I just kind of keep saying it to myself, and I like to walk my dog and talk to myself in the park. So if you see weird pictures of me online talking to myself, I'm probably just writing lines. It's not someone in my head.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Totally off topic, what kind of dog do you have?
Golden Doodle.
A golden doodle. Okay. Please.
Hi. I'm just asking, Andy, Lauren passed away after the ending of Angel. I've always been curious if he was as amazing of a singer as they actually portrayed him to be. I've heard amazing things about him, but he had some notes that freaked me out. So I'm just always wondering if he was as amazing as he sounded.
That was him. I mean, he did it all in, and Joss knew him outside of, he hadn't really acted before that. Joss knew him. I think he was from Cape Cod, which is where Kai's from, and he kind of created the character around his singing and personality, and that was all him. Actually, they used to do, I hadn't done conventions in a while, but the kind of last ones I went to before a couple of years ago were these ones in London, and they were all Angel conventions. And so it was just like 3,000 Angel fans, and they would just like have parties. But Andy, at least once a day, would get on stage and sing Lady Marmalade. And it was awesome. It was great.
Thanks very much. Over here, please.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm totally gonna get super nervous now. My question was about a person of interest for stunts and stuff like that. Like, not even so much stunts. Like when you were playing chicken with the machine on the edge of the roof. How much of that is real? How much is completely computer generated? And how much is like stunt team?
So for that one in particular, I'm not afraid of heights, and I said I wanted to do it, and they would not let me. But there's a bunch of great stunt people on the show. That was a girl named Heidi, and they had her walking along the edge of that building. I think it was 55 stories up high. It was a wider ledge. I mean, it was, and they had her tied off because that would have been bad if she. So it was safe-ish, She would have just fallen and hung over the building. But they also built about 3 feet away from the edge. They built another thing that was just about this high, so that they could film it and kind of get the camera in the right spot. So I did that part, and she got to do the really cool part.
Thanks. Over here.
Hi. I was just wondering what your time was like, your experience was like filming on Once Upon a Time as Nova.
That was a really fun time. I love Vancouver, and Lee is a really great guy. He was really fun to get to be with and be. It's always nice to kind of go out of town and do a job, and it was just really fun to be there with him, and I always like to get to play clumsy people, so I was really happy that I got to fall a lot and drop fairy dust. I mean, so it was great.
Thanks. Over here, please.
Hi, Amy. Thanks for coming.
Hi.
I just wanted to say I loved Much Ado, and I wanted to ask, what is your favorite Shakespeare to either perform or go see?
Ooh, good question. I don't know. Last year I saw Twelfth Night with Mark Rylance, and it kind of made me really want to do that, and I'd always wanted to play Viola, and then now I was like, oh no, I've got to play. So that's probably my new dream right now. Thank you.
Thanks for taking one of my questions too. That was great. Okay, over here, please.
Hello. First of all, I have to admit that I'm a terrible person. I've not yet seen Person of Interest.
Oh.
You can do it now. You can do it now and tell all your friends.
So the question was more about Dollhouse. From what I've heard of Person of Interest, you're kind of crazy. Excellent. So about Dollhouse as Whiskey and Dr. Saunders, I was wondering if maybe you'd have liked to be one of the more active dolls, kind of like Faith. Echo.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you'd have liked to have one of the more crazy roles, or if that's something you developed after the fact.
I mean, I really liked playing Dr. Saunders. It was such a neat part. I was always jealous of everyone like getting to go out and be in new costumes, and oh, she gets to dress up fancy and be different parts. But ultimately, I just feel like that part, I loved the scars and the history behind them, and I just got to have they wrote such amazing speeches, and we got to do really emotional things that as a doll you're kind of more limited by because you're erased eventually, and so yeah, I was happy with my part. I would have I thought I left after season 1 because Joss said he didn't think it was going to get picked up, and I came up here to Toronto to do another show, which was really fun too. But if I had known if I had known, it would have been more fun to get to be more involved in season 2. But I love the show.
Because you mentioned that you didn't like killing people, and I didn't recognize that it wasn't you at the end of season 2. So when you gassed the entire room.
Well, I guess I have killed a lot of people. Not just a person of interest.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We only have time for a few more questions, so over here.
Hi. I was wondering, I feel like you've probably been asked this before at some point, but what do you think the machine sounds like to root in the Cockney Road plant? Is it just like Oscar Tango? or do you think there's like some sort of voice? It's like, oh yes, Root, please go shoot this person.
Well, we've had a couple of discussions about it where Harold is like, interesting use of a pronoun, and that I hear her as a woman and all of this. And so, in my mind, it's a little bit like, I don't know, do you have that app called Waze on your phone? It's a driving app, and then you can go and change the voice. And so I think that the machine sort of knows which voice you would respond to the best. So to me, I hear her as, she's just she does kind of sound like you, like just a lovely woman who's super cool. Comforting, the mother I never had. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Yep.
Always me. I love your character in Person of Interest so much, and my question is, I have a kid, can I give it to you?
Oh, thank you, sure. Thank you. Oh, wow, that's pretty. Did you draw it? Oh, cool.
I'm trying to collect old people's sign on another picture. I left this picture in New York, so maybe I will see you in October.
Oh, great. Yeah. Are you coming to New York
I'm afraid with that we have to stop. We have to move on. I know. I'm sorry, but we've got another thing coming in after. So on behalf of Fan Expo and everybody here, I'd like to thank Amy.